Good evening, dear students. So today we can discuss about the next chapter, that is about the biomolecules. So in this chapter, lot of not like the previous one, not like the chapter 7. In chapter 7, everything how to learn, but here we can drop a lot of things because a lot of contents are there for the need level also in this session. Now the biomolecules. So biomolecules means they are the most abundant chemical in the living organism. Isn't it? There is a molecule that present inside the living body or the living organism. That is a biomolecule. So the most abundant chemical in the living organism, that is water, because hydrogen and oxygen is also there. More than 25 types of elements are found in biomolecules. So it contains around 6 elements: carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. So these are the major elements, types of elements that can be found in the biomolecules. Now the elements that present in the life, that is called biological elements or the bioelements or the biomolecules. Okay, that's a simple definition. Now major elements that present in our body. So several types of elements are there. So now we can discuss about the major elements that present in our body. So first, four classes are there of macromolecules. So macromolecules, it contains protein, carbohydrates, lipids, and nucleic acids are the example for the major elements. Now phosphorus, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, potassium, calcium, and magnesium. Okay, so several types of major elements are there. So it makes 3.5% of the living things, or its body contains this 3.5% of living things contain this major elements. Now the trace elements means the amount, means micro elements, means it needs in less amount in low levels of the organism, just 0.5% only. So living things would not be able to live without trace elements. So trace elements are essential for their growth. Now example for this one: iron, then manganese, molybdenum, selenium, silicon, tin, then vanadium, boron, chromium, cobalt, fluorine. These are the examples for the trace elements or the microelements. Okay. So now Fe, iron. Iron found in the RBC, exactly in the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin having iron part and protein part, we already learned. So iron present in the red blood cells that helps to carry oxygen in the blood. Now iodine. Iodine helps in the formation of the thyroid hormones, thyroxine, and it also helps in the regulated growth and energy level. So thyroid hormone that helps in the growth and maintain the energy level too. Now metabolites. So metabolites means that helps in the process of metabolism. That's called metabolites. So biomolecules are known as metabolites because it helps in metabolism. Two types of metabolites are there: primary metabolites and secondary metabolites. So primary metabolites means metabolites have identifiable function and play a known role in the physiological process. Means it have a major role in the physiological process. That is primary metabolites found in plants, fungus, and microbes. Now, for example, amino acids are there, nucleosides are there, nucleosides are there, and also enzyme of the coenzyme are the examples of the primary metabolites. Now, coming to the secondary metabolites. So, metabolites having no identifiable function. So, there is no particular function for the secondary metabolite, then no direct role in the physiological process. So, primary metabolites have direct role in the physiological process, but secondary metabolites, they doesn't have any function in the direct function of the physiological process. Now found in the plant, fungus, and microbes, like the previous one. So many of the secondary metabolites are useful to human welfare, helps in several processes in the human welfare. That is rubber, drug, spices, scents, and pigments are also there. Now coming to some of the ecological importance. So first of all, that is about the, so this is actually wrong. So that is about the pigments. Some pigments are present inside our body. For example, carotenoid pigments are there, like that one. Anthocyanin pigments are also there. Now terpenoids are there, that is monoterpene and diterpene. Carotenoids and anthocyanin. Now terpenoids, monoterpene and diterpene are the examples of the microelements. Now alkaloids, sorry, secondary metabolites, isn't it? Alkaloids, that is morphine and codeine. Essential oil, lemongrass oil is an example for the secondary one. Now the next one, that is about the toxin. About some toxic substances, that is heparin and resin are the examples of the toxic substances. Lectins, concanavaline A, drugs, vinblastine and curcumin, and polymeric substances, rubber, gums, and cellulose. So these are the examples for the secondary metabolites. Now about the composition of cells, about the content in the cells. So inside the cell, water is around 70 to 90% water is there. 10 to 15% that is proteins. 3% of carbohydrates, 2% lipids, 5 to 7% of nucleic acid, and ions, that is charged particles, that is around 1%. Now, biomacromolecules means macromolecule means the molecules that occurs in larger amount, that is the macromolecules. So in the biomacromolecules, first of all, there is acid pool soluble. Acid soluble pool contains chemicals with larger molecular mass. So the compounds having larger molecular mass is called biomacromolecules. It is more than 800 Dalton, or else in that is above 1000 Dalton. Now the next one, about the biomacromolecules, they are larger in size. So now the next one, biomicromolecules. So biomicromolecules means it's already given here. That is, they are small in size, low molecular mass, highly soluble, includes water, minerals, gases, carbohydrates, amino acids, nucleotides. Example for this one. Okay. Now, biomicromolecules means the compounds that having molecular mass between 18 to 800 Dalton. That is about the biomicromolecules. Now, biomacromolecules. Macromolecules are large sized, having more molecular weight. They're complex molecules. So, and ranges from 18 to 1000 Dalton, isn't it? So that's about the biomacromolecules. So biomacromolecules are of three types. That is, proteins are there, nucleic acid and polysaccharides. Proteins, nucleic acid and polysaccharides are there. These are three examples for the macromolecules. So macromolecules, they are mostly larger in size. They have a larger size. So they are less soluble and able to diffuse and formed by the formation of micromolecules. So several micromolecules combine together to form macromolecules. Now it includes lipids. So lipids are also included inside the polysaccharides. Now all the macromolecules except lipids, all the macromolecules except lipids formed by the process of polymerization. So all the macromolecules are formed by polymerization, but the lipids are not formed by the polymerization. Now chains of monomers are called polymers. So several chains of monomers are there. That's called polymers. Means several monomeric units combine together to form polymers. Now about the micromolecules, one by one, about the water. So 80 to 85% present in the protoplasm, 95% in the free state, 5% in the inbound, joined with some other compounds, and 70 to 80% of the body is filled with water. So that's about the first example of micromolecule. So 95% in the embryo and 99% in the jellyfish. Inside the cell, 55% of water is there and 45% of water is extracellular fluids. That's about the next one. So these numbers about the plasma and inside the cell that we can learn, and the remaining one can able to be read for the need. Now carbohydrates, that is carbon is there, hydrogen. Second example for that one, compounds of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen is there. General formula CnH2nOm. That's the general formula. So value of N is always 3. And exception, one exceptional case is there, that is deoxyribose sugar, that is C5H10O4. Suppose if it is C5H10 and O5, that is based on this above general formula, the oxygen is also 5, but in the case of deoxyribose, there is C5H10 and O4. Now the next one, it forms 80% of the plant weight and 1% of the animal weight. So here that is carbohydrates. So this carbohydrates forms 80% of the plant weight and 1% of the animal weight. The most abundant organic compound on the earth, because it contains carbon, hydrogen, oxygen. They are the abundant compounds. So it's also included in the abundant organic compound. So carbohydrates we can able to classify into two types: simple and complex carbohydrates. So first of all, monosaccharides. So monosaccharides comes under the simple, and complex contains So simple contains that is monosaccharides. Monosaccharides included inside the simple sugars. And the next one, that is complex saccharides. So complex saccharides means that is about oligosaccharides. Oligosaccharides are there and also polysaccharides are there. That comes under this complex. Oligosaccharides and polysaccharides that comes under this complex molecules. Now the monosaccharides, that is sugar unit that cannot be further hydrolyzed into simple units, means made up of single unit of sugar. Made up of single unit of sugar, that is called monosaccharide. Only one unit of sugar is there. So two major classes are there. That is first of all aldoses and ketoses. So it contains, if the sugar contains aldehyde group, that is aldoses. If the sugar contains ketone group, then we can call it as ketosis. So sugars containing ketonic group, that is called ketosis. Now coming to the example for the aldoses, glucose, galactose, mannose, ribose, glycerose are the example for the aldoses. Now for the ketoses, that is dihydroxyacetone, fructose are there, then pseudoheptulose are the examples for the ketosis. Now based on the number of carbon atom. So based on the number of carbon atom, this aldose and ketosis can be again classified into several types. So first of all, triosis having 3 carbon, tetrosis 4 carbon, pentosis 5 carbon, hexosis 6 carbon, heptosis 7 carbon compounds. The common aldoses and ketosis. See this examples for this one about the triosis and pentosis, hexosis. All these things are there. So these things for the NEET only. Okay, these contents you can look for the NEET for the board exam. That's not important. So triosis, that is glyceraldehyde, and ketose, dihydroxyacetone, and tetrosis, that is erythrose and triose are there, and erythrose, that is ketose. In pentosis, ribose, deoxyribose, xylose, arabinose. So and the ketose, that is ribulose, and in the hexoses, that is glucose, galactose, mannose, and fructose in the next group, in the ketosis. Now heptosis, glucoheptose and galactoheptose and pseudoheptose in the next one. So these things you can learn for your NEET. And pentosis you can learn because it's a repeated one, pentose, ribose, and ribulose. So you can able to learn this pentosis. And also triosis you can learn because it's repeating in the next chapter. So triosis also you can learn. Now the next one about the general features. So glyceraldehyde and these points also you can able to for the NEET, that's done. Some points are there that only how to focus for your board exam. So glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone are triosis, that's already mentioned, and glycerol and mannitol are alcoholic sugars. So glycerol and mannitols are there; they are alcoholic sugars. Now pentose sugar, ribose and deoxyribose occurs in nucleotides and nucleic acid that we know. Pentose sugar, that is ribose and deoxyribose. Ribose sugar and deoxyribose sugar that present inside the nucleotides of the nucleic acid. Now the xylose is a pentose sugar. It's a non-nutritive sugar present in xylitol. So xylose compound is an example for the pentose sugar and it is a non-nutritive sweetener available in the xylitol. Now fructose, that is a sweetest sugar present in the fruits. Now glucose or dextrose, it's a grape sugar as well as a blood sugar. It also present inside the blood sugar. So these points you have to learn. Okay, xylose, that is pentose sugar, non-nutritive sweetener. Now fructose, sweetest sugar. Glucose in the form of dextrose that present inside the grape as well as in the blood sugar. Okay, so it provides immediate source of energy, hence we can call it as cellular fuel. Now galactose, that is brain sugar. So galactose is known as brain sugar. So more rapidly transported sugar in the part of amino acid, agar-agar, glycolipid, glycoprotein, lactose, are present in the free state. So galactose are there. That is called brain sugar. That is the most rapidly transported sugar. Now the ascorbic acid that present in the vitamin C, that is a sugar acid. So these things just these points, okay, these few points you just learn for your board exam. Now structure of monosaccharides, two types of structures are there: open chain structures and ring structures. So present in all types of monosaccharides, open chain structures are there in all type of monosaccharides. And aldehyde group is terminal and the ketone group is subterminal. Okay, aldehyde group is there, this is the upper region and the ketone group just below the terminal region. That's about the open chain structure. And suppose if it's a ring structure, it present in monosaccharides having more than 4 carbon atoms. So it having more than 4 carbon atoms. That's about the ring structure. So ring structure, two types of ring structures are there. First is furanose. Furanose means 4 carbon atom or else totally 5 atom. That is 4 carbon atom plus 1 oxygen will be there in the ring. So that is furanose. So it is less stable only. Now pyranose, 5 carbon atom or totally 6 atoms and more stable. So pyranose structures are more stable with 5 carbon atom and 1 oxygen atom. Now about the structure, about the glucose. So in the structure of glucose, see this. So totally 6 carbons are there, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. 6 carbon is there. At the upper end, aldehyde groups are there, CH2 groups are there. Now about the arrangement of the H and OH, like the here H first carbon, sorry, second carbon, that is hydrogen and OH, H and OH, then OH, H, OH, and finally again the same H and OH. That's the thing. Now here in the right side also, like the same way, you can able to write, that is draw at first 5 ring structure, so that the upper side will be having 1 oxygen atom. So total 5 carbon atoms plus 1 oxygen atom will be there. Now while writing left side, H and OH, OH and H, HOH and HOH. So like the same one, you can able to write this. And upper side, the CH2OH will be in the 5th carbon atom. That is about the structure of glucose. So glucose structure is the base. From there, we can learn the fructose structure. So in the case of fructose, the same thing only. 6 carbon atoms are there, and CH2OH will be in the upper side. Ketone in the central carbon, second carbon atom. In the second carbon atom, ketones will be there. So here it is OHH and HOH. Also, HOH will be the final side, and finally CH2OH will be there. The fructose ring, that is furanose structure. So here also CH2OH and OH, H and OH, OH and H, and H and CH2OH. So like this one, you have to write down. Now for the next structure, galactose. So for the galactose, also having some ring structures and open structures. So for the ring structure, again 6 carbon atoms are there. So you have to mention 6 carbon atom, upper side having aldehyde group, and the lower side having, that is CH2OH. So like the glucose, but this position will be changed. Fourth position will be changed. That's the only difference. Is rotated. And the right side, everything is same. And fourth carbon atom only having, that is here it is OH and H. Previously it was H and OH, but here it will be reverse, then OH and H will be. That's the condition. So that's about the structure. Now properties of monosaccharides. So about the monosaccharides, they have asymmetrical carbon, that is called chiral carbon. So they can rotate polarized light to either right. If it is rotating towards the right, that is exorotatory, or if it is left, that is levorotatory. So fructose having one more name, that is levulose. It is always levorotatory. Fructose of the levulose that present the honey is always levorotatory. And the remaining, most of the sugars are dextrorotatory. Fructose is levorotatory, but most of the sugars are dextrorotatory. Next compound, that is DHAP. DHAP is optically inactive compound. They are always optically inactive. Their resin turns towards inside. Some carbohydrates having free aldose of ketose group are called reducing sugars. So remember, it's very important. Reducing sugars means the carbohydrates having free aldose of ketose group. The carbohydrates are having free aldose of ketose group, that is called reducing sugars. So they can reduce the cupric ions into cuprostate. They can reduce the cupric ions into cuprostate. It's a condition. So fillings or bending solution is an example for this one. The monosaccharides, maltose and lactose. Monosaccharides are there, maltose are there, lactose are there. Examples for the reducing sugars. Now some carbohydrates that do not have free aldehyde. They do not have free aldehyde group or ketone group. So they cannot reduce the filling solution or the bending solution. So hence we can call it as, that is non-reducing sugars. Example, polysaccharides and oligosaccharides are the examples of this non-reducing sugars. And maltose and lactose are not included in any one of these compounds. So functions of monosaccharides. So functions of monosaccharides, it includes most in organisms create energy by breaking down the monosaccharide glucose and harvesting the energy and released from the bonds. Okay, so that is breakdown. By the breakdown, they are releasing energy. That's a simple point. So used to form long fibers, which can be used for the formation of cellular structures. So it helps in the formation of long fibers that can be used in the form of cellular structure. Some bacteria can produce similar cell wall from slightly different polysaccharides. So they can able to produce a similar cell wall-like structure from the polysaccharides. So animal cells are surrounded by a complex matrix of polysaccharides that is made up of smaller monosaccharides. So cell wall, like a outer structure, it is made up of polysaccharides are there. So that polysaccharides are made up of made from the smaller monosaccharides. Now the carbon skeleton of monosaccharides is used in the formation of fatty acids, chitin, and amino acids. So carbon skeleton of the monosaccharide is used for the formation of the fatty acids and chitin and amino acids. Now monosaccharides are the monomers of the building blocks of the formation of disaccharides such as lactose, sucrose, polysaccharides such as cellulose, glycogen, starch, etc. Okay, so monosaccharides, these are the monomers of these polysaccharides. Means monomers that helps in the formation of polysaccharides. That's the only concept over there. Now coming to the next one, the second one, that is oligosaccharides. So oligosaccharides mean that is 2 to 9 monosaccharides. 2 to 9 monosaccharides that combined by using glycosidic bonds, that is called oligosaccharides. Now the next one. So glycosidic bonds are found between the aldose or ketose group of carbohydrate, the alcoholic or nitrogen group of the organic compound. So this glycosidic bond that develops between the aldose or ketose group means aldehyde or ketone group of the carbohydrate that joined with alcoholic or the nitrogen group of the organic compound. Okay, that's the bonds. Now this released during the condensation, dehydration synthesis. So the water. So here the water is there. This water is released during the water that released during the condensation process, and that is called dehydration synthesis. Now, on the basis of the number of monosaccharides, we can again classify it into several categories that we can discuss. First of all, disaccharides. So it's formed by the two monosaccharides, that is disaccharides. Now, hexose is the disaccharides are mostly common. And sucrose, that is table sugar. So remember these points because there is other names are there that you have to by heart it for the board exam, even for the board exam. Disaccharides made up of two monosaccharides. Hexose is an example. Sucrose is called table sugar. That is glucose and fructose combined together to form sucrose. As a type of, so remember disaccharides, there is oligosaccharides and polysaccharides are mostly comes under non-reducing sugars. That's it. The maltose or the malt sugar is there. That is called reducing sugar. Maltose or the malt sugar, that is called reducing sugar. And the alpha bonding you can learn for the NEET exam. Now lactose is called milk sugar. It is formed by the 1 to 4 condensation between the glucose and galactose. Okay, formed by the glucose and galactose. About the bonds, if you want, you can learn or leave it. For theory, it's not important. Now the maximum in elephant milk. So this lactose content is more in the elephant milk, that is 8.8%, and the human milk, that is around 7%. And for the milk of porpoise, that is 1.3%, isn't it? 1.3 only in the porpoise, milk of porpoise. Now trisaccharides. After disaccharides, again coming to the trisaccharides. So example, raffinose is there. That's called non-reducing trisaccharide made up of galactose, glucose, and fructose reduced. So galactose, glucose, and fructose residues that combine together to form trisaccharides. And it's found in sugarcane and of the plant of higher altitudes or seen in the more heights. That's about the trisaccharide. Now the next one, tetrasaccharides. So tetrasaccharides, that is fructose, is an example for the tetrasaccharides, is a non-reducing sugar. And it formed by the formation of glucose, fructose, and galactose. So glucose, fructose, and galactose combines together to form tetrasaccharides. And stacchose is there. Stacchose found in the phloem, and it's called, and also in the Chinese artichoke. So tetrasaccharides, example fructose is there. Fructose is a non-reducing tetrasaccharide and formed by the combination of glucose, fructose, and galactose. And also stachyose is there, that found in the phloem and Chinese artichoke. Now the next one, polysaccharides. So they are complex carbohydrates or glycans or non-sugars, non-reducing sugars. They're insoluble, non-diffusible, tasteless, without osmotic effect. So here osmotic effect is also not there. Now formed by the condensation of more than 10 monosaccharides known as polymers. So more than 10 monosaccharides come into that form polymers. Depending upon chain composition, two types are there: homopolysaccharides are there, heteropolysaccharides are there. So homopolysaccharides made up of same type of monosaccharide monomers, isn't it? So formation formed by the polymerization of only one type of monosaccharide monomers. So all the polysaccharide means more than one monomeric units of monosaccharides. But if all the monosaccharides are of same type, that is monosaccharide, okay, or homopolysaccharide. For example, pentosanes, that silans and arbanes are the examples of the pentosanes. Now hexosanes, glycosanes, starch, dextrin, glycogen, cellulose are the examples. Now fructosanes, inulin is an example. Galactans, mannans are the example for the homopolysaccharides. Now the next one, starch. Starch is an example for the polysaccharide. So it is a reserved branch polysaccharide of the plant. Means it is a storage. Mostly the food materials are stored in the plants in the case of starch materials. Each starch bean has a central point of hilum. Central point is called hilum is there. Starch is concentric, means in circular shape, or eccentric, as like the potato. So the largest starch bean that present the canna and smallest in the rice. So these points you can learn for your NEET level. Okay, so these points you can learn for your NEET level. That's not important for your board exams. Now rounded starch grain, that is wheat, present the wheat, and oval starch grain in potato, spindle shape in the case of banana, dumbbell in the case of euphorbia. So all these points you can learn for the wheat, not for the board exam. Now the next one. Now the next one. That is about the after glycogen. After the glycogen, coming to the next point, there is starch. Has a straight chain of amylose, 1 to 4 alpha D glucose, and the side chain of amylopectin of glucose attached to the straight chains by 1 to 6 alpha D glycosidic linkages. Okay, so now leave it, that's for the read. Now the next one, starch. Starch gives blue color with the iodine solution. Starch test, while treating with the iodine solution, it gives blue color. And amylopectin, if it is amylopectin, that gives purple color. So when you are treating a compound with the iodine solution, if it is giving blue color, that is starch, blue-black, and amylopectin, that gives the purple color. Now glycogen is also reserved homopolysaccharide in the form of glucosan of animal and fungal cells. Okay, animals and fungal cells is present. Now glycogen occurs as ellipsoidal flattened granules which gives reddish color or red violet colors with the iodine. So glycogen, like an ellipsoidal, means ellipse shape, like a flattened granules, reddish color or the red violet color with the iodine. Now found in contact with the SCR, means it's seen along with the glycogen, seen along with the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So glycogen formed from glucose to the process called glycogenesis, or the condensation process, the formation of glycogen, that is called glycogenesis. This glycogen is stored in the liver and muscles. So when the level of glucose level increases in our body, this glucose is converted to glycogen and stored inside the liver and muscles. Now, Mayo straight chain has alpha D 1 to 4 glycosidic linkages. So straight chain having alpha D 1 to 4 glycosidic linkages or the glucose linkages. Now the next one is helically coiled structure, and after that's the remaining point you can learn for the reach. That's after 8 to 12 glucose units, it be a side chain of alpha D1 to 6 glycosidic linkages that leave that point you can learn for the media. Now the cellulose one, they are fibrous in nature, they are unbranched and homopolysaccharide. So fibers are there, unbranched, homopolysaccharide. Same type of monosaccharides are there. For example, glucose. And it forms the structural component of the microfibril. It forms the structural component of the microfibril of plant cell wall and some primitive fungus and also tunic of acidians, means strains of this acidic organisms. Now the next one, cellulose content is high in the case of fibers. It's 90%. Cellulose content is high in the case of fibers of hemp and jute. That is around 95%. Cotton fibers having 90% cellulose, and most abundant organic compounds on the earth. So that point also for the need level. Okay. Now cellulose does not contain stain with I2. So cellulose does not stains with the I2 as a next feature. Starch gives a blue color. Now has linear chain of 8,000 glucose molecules linked by beta 1 to 4 glycosyl bonds. So that's about the next feature of the cellulose, that is having 8,000 glucose molecules are linked together and is connected with 1 to 4 glycosyl bond. Now the adjacent glucose lies at 180 degree to each other. So if suppose adjacent glucoses are there, 8,000 glucose molecules are there, they connected lies around 180 degree to each other. That point is also not for the theory, not for the mode, but for this method. Okay. Now cellulose can be digested only for few microbes. So cellulose can be digested by few microbes that present inside the gut of ruminants and white ants. Now in humans, it provides roughage. Cellulose provides roughage and helps in peristalsis and bowel movements. Peristalsis means the movement of food through the esophagus and also the intestines, and also helps in the excretion process. Now some examples for the cellulose. Cellulose xanthate, that is rayon and cellophane present. Cellulose acetate, that is in photographic films and ferricot and shatterproof glass. Cellulose nitrate, nitrocellulose, gun, cotton, and propellant explosive. And remember, this one also you have to learn. Okay, for theory papers. So some points they are mentioning that you don't want to learn that points. Means not like that. For theory papers, it's not there, but for the NEET exam, you have to learn all the contents. Now it makes the plant cell wall. Cellulose present the plant cell wall, algae, and the oomycetes. It is a major constituent of the paper. Okay, that one we can leave later. Now the next one about the structure. About the structure. It is used for the producing the rayon. So water molecule is removed from the fourth and first carbon, isn't it? Like that one. See the first one. It's about the structure of glucose, and after that one, you have to show the structure by removing the water molecules. That is here OH group, and here also OH group will be there. H2 will be removed, and remaining the oxygen will be interconnected by each other. Now coming to the heteropolysaccharides. In the case of heteropolysaccharides, it formed by the condensation of more than one type of monosaccharides or the monosaccharide derivative. So heteropolysaccharide formed by the condensation of monosaccharides or the monosaccharide derivative. So formed by the condensation of more than one type of monosaccharides, that is called heteropolysaccharides. For example, chitin, pectin, hemicellulose, and micropolysaccharides are the example for the heteropolysaccharides. Now the next one, chitin. So chitin, there is linear branch structural heteropolysaccharides are there, having beta 1 to 4 linked chains of glucosamine and lies at 180 degrees. So these points only for your mention. Now there's chitin, that's the second most abundant organic compound. Okay, so structure is not required. Structure we already learned before. So like the previous one, there is oxygen is there. There is OH group will be there. Here also OH group will be there, and here also OH group will be there. So from here the water molecules, there is one hydrogen and one OH will be removed, and the remaining oxygen that combines and forms the structures from the structures of glucose amine. Now the next one, hemicellulose. So in the case of hemicellulose, their branch chain, it may be homo and heteropolysaccharide of arabans, xylans, mannans, and galactans, and it's the binding substance of the cell. Now the mucopolysaccharides, they are slimy, acidic, or aminated heteropolysaccharides or the sugar derivatives. Gum, example gums, agar-agar, azelaic acid, carrageenan are the examples of the mucopolysaccharide. So agar-agar is obtained from D-galactose, 3,6-anhydro L-galactose with sulfur esterification. That will is producing. Now the heparin formed by the glucuronic acid, glucosamine and sulfate molecules, it is an anticoagulant. So anticoagulant means it prevents the clotting of the blood. Now the next one, that is husk of plantago ovate. Husk of plantago ovate, that is xylene isbagol is rich in mucopolysaccharides. The husk powder is not degraded in human alimentary canal. That doesn't undergo degradation and taken orally during the diarrhea and the constipation. So we are using this husk of plantago ovate like our oats. We are using during the diarrhea and the constipation. Now the pectins. So found in plant cell wall. So pectic acid is a polymer of 100 1 to 4 D-galacturonic acids. So 1 to 4 D-galacturonic acid, 100 units combined together to form pectins. Now the functions of polysaccharides. So functions of polysaccharides means starch and glycogen are the major foods. Starch and glycogen are there; they are the major foods. Now the carbohydrate provides energy and carbon change during hydrolysis. So carbohydrate that provides energy and during the hydrolysis process. Now the next one, chitin. So chitin is the structural carbohydrate of the fungal cell wall and exoskeleton of the arthropod. So chitin present on the fungal cell walls and also the exoskeleton of the arthropoda, means insects. Now the next one about the structure, as about the cellulose is the structural substance of cell wall that we learned, isn't it? Cellulose is the deposition of the plant cell wall. Cellulose economic importance that helps in the production of furniture, shelter, fuel, paper, textiles, soap, crayons, cellophanes, and plastics. So in this production, we are using this cellulose compounds. Now mucilage is the waxy coating that present as the mucilage that present as the coating around the aquatic plants, bacteria, blooming algae, etc. That is also derived from the polysaccharides. So it present in the human body, keratin, sulfate, chondroitin in these forms, and chondroitin sulfate and hyaluronic acid. So today I think we discussed the same concept in our classes, online sessions, isn't it? So present in the human body, there is keratin, sulfate, chondroitin, sulfate, and hyaluronic acid. Now it provides the lubrication of ligaments and tendons, and it provides strength and flexibility. This polysaccharide provides lubrication and also provides strength and flexibility. And heparin compound is there that is prevents the blood clotting. Now the next one, mucopolysaccharides having medicinal and commercial importance. They're having medicinal and also commercial importance. So medicinal importance, there is example husk of plantago ovate just before we discussed, and aloe vera and azelaic acids. That mucilage is also used for the medicinal purposes. Now the next one, pectins are also there. That is used as the gelling agents. Now the next one about the amino acids. So amino acids, they are crystalline compounds. They're water soluble and aminated organic acids that form from these four compounds: carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. So the plants, fungus, and microbes, they can able to produce the amino acid from nitrogen and N2 or the alpha keto acid by reductive amination. So the plants, fungus, and microbes, they produce amino acid from the N2 nitrogen or alpha keto acid by the process called reductive amination. So amino acids are the organic compounds and amino groups and an acidic group. Amino acid. So amino group is there, acidic group is also there. So on substituents of the same carbon, that is called alpha carbon. So it is attached to the first carbon atom, and we can call it as alpha carbon atom. Now the next one about the amino acids. They are substituted by these amino acids are substituted by the methanes, by the CH3. So hydrogen carboxyl group, amino group, and a variable group, that is R group. So hydrogen group will be there, carboxyl group will be there, amino groups will be there, and also variable R groups will be there inside this. Now 20 types of proteins are there and more than 200 types of amino acids are also present. So R group in the amino acid, it could be hydrogen, that is glycine. If it is hydrogen is in the R group, that is glycine. If it is a methyl group, that is alanine. If it is hydroxyl methyl, that is serine. So based on the side chain, the R group that attached on the carbon atom, hydrogen carbon atom, based on that we can classify it into several types. So see this one, it's a general one. Amine group will be there, acid group will be there, hydrogen will be there, and one R group will be attached over there. So based on the number of amino acid and carboxyl group, so first of all acidic will be there. It may be acidic, basic, or neutral based on the number of amino acids. Okay, so suppose if it is aromatic amino acid, so acidic is there, basic is there, neutral is there. Now suppose if it is aromatic amino acid, example tyrosine, tryptophan, and phenylalanine, and the examples of the aromatic amino acids. Now the next one, in amino acids, NH2 and COH groups having ionizing property. Amine groups and COH group having the ionizing property. And this condition is called zwitter-ions. Means, see this, here it is, this ammonia, NH2 can able to convert to NH3, as well as COH group can able to convert COO or minus. CO minus, hence we can call it a zwitter-ions, means having both the charges inside that one. Now the next one about the protein amino acids. Protein amino acids having a carboxyl group, having amino group that is alpha attached to alpha amino acids. Now alpha carbon has one hydrogen and a hydrocarbon or alkyl group. So alpha carbon having one hydrogen and a hydrocarbon of the alkyl group. Alpha means first carbon. Now the simplest protein, that is glycine. Complex one, that is tryptophan, that you have to learn for your board exams also. Glutamic acid, that the firstly formed amino acid, that's called glutamic acid. The proline and hydroproline have proline and hydroproline and two types of amino acid that is having NH group, that is called imino groups are there instead of this NH2 groups. Now all amino acids having the chiral carbon, means asymmetrical carbon atom, they are optically active except glycine. Except the glycine, all the compounds are optically active and glycine is optically inactive compound. Now all protein amino acids are liver rotatory. All protein amino acids are liver rotatory, but non-protein amino acids are dextrorotatory. So protein amino acids are liver rotatory, and most of the non-protein amino acids are dextrorotatory. Now the non-protein amino acids, so it doesn't help in protein synthesis. So the amino acids that doesn't help in protein synthesis, that is called non-protein amino acids, and they occur freely or in combined state. Maybe sometimes they occur freely or in combined state, and number is more than 180. So more than 180, that's about the number. Now ornithine and citrulline is the examples for the non-protein amino acids. Now the next one, glycine, alanine, serine, already we discussed. That is general formula, that is hydrogen, carboxylic acid group, amine group, and one side having R groups. If it is hydrogen, that is glycine. If it is alanine, that is CH3. If it is serine, that is CH2H. Remember this point is very, very important. Okay, for your both NEET and board exams. Now the next one, amino acids. So amino acids, that is several types of amino acids are there. Neutral amino acids, that is monocarboxylic acid, having one amino group and one carboxylic acid. Glycine, alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine, having only one amino acid and one carboxylic acid. Now acidic, acidic means monoamino and dicarboxylic acid, having two carboxylic acid. Aspartic acid and glutamic acid are the examples of the amino acids having acidic amino acids. Now basic, that is diamino, two amino groups are there, one carboxylic acids are there. For example, lysine and arginine are the examples for this one. Now the next one, sulfur containing compounds. So sulfur containing, that is cysteine and methionine are the examples of the sulfur containing compounds. Now alcoholic, serine and threonine, example for the alcoholic. Now the aromatic compounds, aromatic cyclic, phenylalanine and tyrosine, aromatic heterocyclic, histidine and tryptophan. Imino groups, that is already we discussed proline. Proline having imino groups. Proline having imino group, that is NS groups instead of place of NS2 groups. So these are the features about this amino acids. So first, at least you have to learn neutral, acidic, and basic. Remaining as per your wish. Okay, remaining for the need level. So that's your choice. Now the structure of alanine, valine, leucine, isoleucine, phenylalanine, tryptophan, methionine, and proline is also there. Aspartic acid is there, glutamic acid is there, lysine, arginine, histidine. So diagrams are there, but these diagrams are not that much important. That you will learn in your chemistry part in the next year, and also that's not important for your board exam. For NEET, you have to learn. Okay, so now essential amino acids. So essential amino acids means amino acids cannot be synthesized by our body on its own. Means essential means it's needed. So our body can't able to prepare it. So we have to take it from diet. We have to take it from outside food. Now the food containing 8 types of amino acids. So this type of amino acid, that is tryptophan, necessary for the synthesis of neurotransmitter, that is serotonin, helps to relieve migraine and depression. Essential amino acids, remember, for a board exam, you have to learn the names. For a NEET exam, you have to learn including the functions. Now, tyrosine, it is a precursor of dopamine, norepinephrine, and adrenaline. It enhances the positive mood. It is also an antitoxin. Antitoxin means to fight against or it helps to change the toxic substances. It is a skin pigment and production of thyroxine and also helps in the production of adrenaline. Now about the valine, it is essential for the muscle development. High levels of valine in the body includes hallucination. Now isoleucine, necessary for the synthesis of hemoglobin and also major content of the blood cells. Now leucine, beneficial for the skin, bone and tissue, also helps in wound healing. It promotes growth hormone production or the production of growth hormones. Now lysine is a component of muscle protein needed in the synthesis of enzymes and hormones. It is a precursor of L-carnitine, essential for the health of the nervous system function. Now the next one, methionine. So methionine is an antioxidant. It breaks down the fat, helps in muscle degradation, it helps to reduce the muscle degeneration, and good for the nail and skin. These are the function of methionine. So once again, for your board exam, it's not prepared, but if you want, you can learn. Okay, just at least one point. Methionine is an antioxidant. Like that, one simple points you can learn. Now, the phenylalanine is beneficial for the nervous system. It boosts the memory and learning, useful against depression and suppressing appetite. That's about the phenylalanine. Now, about the non-essential amino acids. So, like this one, non-essential amino acids are also can be produced in the body. It's produced in the body, so not needed. No need to take it to the diet. Here also for the non-essential amino acids, you have to learn the names only. If you want, you can learn the complete thing for the NEET. Alanine, that is remove toxic substances. It removes toxic substances based on the breakdown of muscle protein. When muscle proteins are breakdown of muscle proteins takes place at that time, toxic releases. So that's the point. Now excessive level causes chronic fatigue. If it is excess, that is causes fatigue. Now come to the next non-essential amino acid, that's cysteine, component of the protein in nails and skin and hairs. It's present. It's also antioxidant and free radical scavenger, having synergic effect when takes with the other antioxidants with the vitamin and selenium. So it's having more effect when it is taking along with the vitamin E and the selenium. Produces disulfide linkages amongst the polypeptide chains. That's enough. Now cysteine is there, then now cysteine. Same as cysteine, helps to remove toxin, helps to remove the toxin, helps in the formation of the skin. So it is a diamino dicarboxylic amino acid, means two amino groups and the two carboxylic acids are also there, having some acidic nature. Now glutamate, promote brain function, helps in the synthesis of DNA and RNA. That's the function of glutamate. Glutathione, it is an antioxidant having anti-aging effect, useful for the removal of toxins. So these are the functions of glutathione. Now glycine, it is a component of the skin, beneficial for wound healing. It acts as same thing, isn't it? Already we discussed. Neurotransmitter, fatigue. So it's the same page repeating, I think. Okay. Now history. Important in the synthesis of red and white blood cells, precursor of the histamine, good for the sexual arousal and improves blood flow. And high dosage of histamine includes stress and anxiety. If you take histamine the more amount, it causes stress and anxiety. Now about the serine, it's a constant of brain protein. So it helps in the production of immune system proteins, helps in muscle growth. About the function of serine. Now threonine, it balances the protein level in the body. It promotes immune system. It helps in the synthesis of enamel and collagen. That's the next feature of this threonine. Asparagine, it promotes equilibrium in the central nervous system. It promotes equilibrium in the central nervous system. Helps in the balancing state of emotions. Helps to balance the emotions. Aspartic acid, it enhances stamina. Helps in the removal of ammonia and toxins from the body. Now helps in the synthesis of proteins that involved in the immune system. Now the next one, there is proline. The proline plays an important role in the intercellular signaling. The L-arginine, next compound, it plays a role in blood vessel relaxation. Helps in the relaxation of the blood vessels. It having stimulating and maintaining erection in men. About the sexual arousal. Now for the production of ejaculate, it helps in the production of ejaculate. It helps in the removal of excess ammonia from the body. So these are the functions of L-arginine. Now the next one, aspartame. Aspartame synthetic peptides 200 times sweeter than sucrose. They are mostly 200 times sweeter than sucrose without unpleasant aftertaste of saccharine. That's not good for that now. Not suitable for people suffering from phenylketonuria. It's not suitable for the people that suffering from the phenylketonuria. That's about the disease. Now coming to the next one, about the next feature, about the functions of amino acids. So functions of amino acids other than aromatic and heterocyclic are called aliphatic amino acids. So amino acids other than the aromatic and heterocyclic, that's called aliphatic amino acids. Except glycine, all protein amino acids are levodopa. Now protein that is are the polymers of amino acids. So proteins are the polymers of the amino acids. So these proteins are insoluble in water and most abundant organic compound of the animal cell forms 50% of the total dry mass. Now, proteins having all essential and semi-essential amino acids, that is called first class or complete protein. The proteins that having all the essential amino acids and the essential and semi-essential amino acids, that is called first class protein or the complete protein. Okay, this point you have to learn, it's very important. Now, example, animal protein. Now, non-essential proteins are there, that is incomplete of the second class protein. That's called non-essential. So proteins that present inside the plants are the non-essential. That's about the non-essential proteins. Now, a protein has one polypeptide is called monomeric proteins. If they have only one, like the monosaccharides. Here, the proteins having only one polypeptide, that is called monomeric proteins. Example, myoglobin and isocyme. So the proteins having two or more polypeptides called multimeric or oligomeric proteins. Having more than two or more polypeptides, that's called multimeric or the oligomeric compound. Example, hemoglobin. Now, the individual polypeptides of multimeric protein are called subunits of the protomers. So, individual polypeptides of the multimeric protein. Multimeric proteins having several polypeptide chains, and the individual unit is called subunits of the protomers. Now, maximum number of protomers described for a protein is 72 in the pyruvate dehydrogenase complex. Minimum molecular weight is a protein. Minimum molecular weight, that is around 4,500. That is adrenocorticotropic hormone having 39 amino acids, and the ACTH that with 39 amino acids. Now, the highest molecular weight of the pyruvate dehydrogenase, that is 4,60,000. That is in polypeptides having 72 polypeptides. So lowest one 4,500. That is a molecular weight and with 39 amino acids, and the largest one having 4,60,000 polypeptides with 72 amino acids. So these portions are important. Only the essential and non-essential you have to learn the names. That's all. Now, the structure of protein. Several structures are there. Primary structure. That the firstly formed structure. That the first formed structures made up of linear rows of amino acids joined by only peptide bonds and genetically controlled by DNA. Okay, so primary structure, they are linear structure of amino acids having only one peptide bonds are only there, controlled by the DNA. It is a final structure of globular protein, that is globulin. Okay, it's the final structure of the globular protein, that is called globulin. Now the secondary structure. So inside the secondary structure, they are stabilized or connected by using the hydrogen bonds. So secondary structures having some hydrogen bonds, So mainly three types are there. Secondary structure is derived into or classified into three types. Alpha helix, first one. That is right-handed helix is called alpha helix, in which 3 to 5 amino acids are found per helix and the hydrogen bond forms between amino groups of the first carbonyl group and the fourth amino acid, alpha 1 to 4. So alpha helix, that is right-handed helix structure, in which 3.5 amino acids are found per helix and hydrogen bond forms between the amino groups of the first carbonyl group, that is the fourth, and between the first and the fourth carbonate of the amino acids. Now it is the final structure of fibrous and globular protein. It's the final structure of the fibrous and globular protein, that's keratin. Example, that is keratin. Glycine, glycine and proline are unable to form hydrogen bonds. So this glycine and proline can't able to form hydrogen bonds. So we can call it as helix breaker. So it breaks spiral and forms random coils. It breaks the spiral structure and forms the random coils. Now the next one about the structure, beta pleated. So inside the beta pleated structures, they are having sheet-like arrangements on it. They are formed by the holding of two or more polypeptide chains are there in parallel or the anti-parallel manner by hydrogen bonds. So formed by the holding of two or more polypeptide chains in parallel or anti-parallel manner by the hydrogen bonds. Example, silk fibrinogen. Now the collagen helix means polypeptide having more glycine and proline amino acids. So collagen helix having more proline and more glycine amino acids. So the three parallel polypeptide forms are also there. Now the third structure, that is tertiary structure. Tertiary structure is a three-dimensional structure of the functional protein. It is also known as the native state of enzyme. It's the native state of the tertiary structure, that is a native state of the enzyme. So 5 types of bonds are involved over there. It contains van der Waals reactions, ionic bonds, hydrogen bonds, disulfide bonds, hydrophobic interactions. So these are the interactions that present inside the tertiary structure. So some of these bonds can be easily broken by high temperature. So when we increases the temperature, this bond breaks. By radiations, by detergents, by acids and alcohols, we can able to broken these bonds. Now it's resulted in the loss of three-dimensional structure of the protein. That's called denaturation. So when we heat or treat it with this kind of things, definitely there is the structure will be lost from the compound. So we can call it as denaturation. So peptide bonds are always strong bonds. Now coming to the last structure, quaternary structure. So quaternary structure present in the multimeric or oligomeric proteins. Present in multimeric or oligomeric proteins. So two or more polypeptide chains interact and get oriented with respect to each other. Nothing really liquid. Present in multimeric or oligomeric protein. That's the first point. Now two or more polypeptide chains are there that is interacted with. Two or more polypeptide chains interact with each other to form the quaternary structure. Now types of proteins based on the shape. So first of all, based on the shape, can be fibrous, elastin, collagen fibers, actin fibers, keratin fibers. So all these fibers we discussed today. So proteins present inside the fibers, elastin fibers, collagen fibers, actin fibers, and keratin. Now globular content, maybe it may be globular, histones, mostly charged particles are called histones, hemoglobin, egg albumin, serum, globulin. Like this one is present. Now it's intermediate, that's myosin and fibrinogen are the intermediate compounds. Now in composition, suppose if it is simple protein without additional groups. So based on the combination of the composition, so the compounds of the proteins that doesn't having additional groups, that is called simple proteins. It mostly storage. It helps in the storage process. That is a major function of this simple protein. Now conjugate protein having some additional groups. That's called conjugate protein. Derived protein that derived from the digestion of proteins. After the digestion, the proteins are formed. That is called derived proteins. The proteins characteristics occurrence. So these things only for the need. So I need to waste your time right now at this moment. So after your exams, then we're preparing for the half yearly exam. We can prepare. Time is there. Okay. So protein, that is nuclear protein, deoxyribonuclear proteins are ribonuclear protein, chromatin, histones plus DNA. Chromatin means reticular network-like structures of this DNA. Mucoproteins are there, that is mucocarbohydrates and proteins, ribosome containing globular proteins and RNA. And glycoproteins, so this contents you can learn for your NEET exam. So right now I'm going to discussing this. Just read it, okay? Points just names are only mentioned there, so you have to learn that one. Now this one about the proteins. About the protein that is albumin. So albumin and its occurrence is also not there in your NCRT, but some points you have to remember. So albumin that present inside the serum or the blood. In the blood having some three proteins, albumin, globulin, and fibrinogen. So it present inside the blood. That at least that one point you have to remember. It's not there in your notebook. Globulin, several types are there, and the blood is present. That also is there. And amines, isn't it? Prolamines, that is gluteins, then histones, protoamines, steroproteins, scleroproteins. So all these things you have to learn for your NEET exams. So I think no need for the explanation because same thing only. Some proteins and their functions. This one you have to learn collagen proteins. So intercellular, it is a collagen is the intercellular ground substance. Trypsin, it's an enzyme. Insulin, it's a hormone. Antibody, that figure infections agents. So that point today we discussed. So antibody, that's figure the infections agents. Now the receptor. Receptor, that is sensory reception, the smell, taste, and hormones. It helps to identify the smell, taste, and hormones. GLUT4, that helps in the glucose transport in the cells. That is GLUT4. Now the proteins and its characteristic features. So proteins, alien derivative of the reaction on the protein. Fiber, if these proteins are mostly present inside the fibrates. Now meta proteins, hydrolysis of protein, first fraction. Proteases, hydrolysis of protein, intermediate fraction. Peptones, polypeptides. So these things you have to learn for your NEET exams. These contents you have to learn for your NEET exam in order to after the GLUT4 from here. From here you can learn it for your NEET exams. Now peptides are there. Peptides means fraction with a few amino acid residues. So that's the next thing. Now coming to the structure of lipids. So these are the compounds of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. So carbon is there, hydrogen is there, and oxygen is there. They forms emulsion with the water. This lipids forms emulsion with the water and soluble in organic compounds. The fatty acid, that is monocarboxylic organic acid, having only one carboxylic group is there. So they are chains of hydrocarbons. 4 to 30 carbons are there. They have 4 to 30 carbons are present inside, having the carboxylic group in the other end. Now it is hydrophilic and tail is called hydrophobic. Hydrophilic means can able to attract the water. So hydrophobic means releasing the water. It's moving far away from the water. On aggregation forms the middle and forms monomolecular layer with the water. That's not okay. Now the animals cannot form three fatty acids. So linolenic, arachidonic acids are called essential fatty acids of the EFA that discovered by Evans and Burr. And EFA present in the sunflower, safflower, coconut, cotton, sesame, rapeseed, mustard, groundnut. So this all these things, EFA is present. Essential fatty acid is present. Now coconut has no EFA, but cotton, sunflower, groundnut oil has all EFA. That's the condition. So milk has all EFA. In the case of milks, it's a complete food item. It's a balanced food. So this milk having all EFA, essential fatty acids will be there. Now saturated fatty acids having only single bonds in the hydrogen hydrocarbon chain having formula CN H2N O2. For example, butyric acid, capric acid, palmitic acid, stearic acid, and arachidonic acid. So these things, this factor will be there. Now the palmitic acid is most common saturated fatty acid. So palmitic acid is the most commonly used one, isn't it? Most common saturated, that is palmitic acid. High melting point increases the length of hydrocarbon. So length of hydrocarbon, it also helps to increase the length of the hydrocarbon. Now unsaturated fatty acids have both double bonds and single bonds. Oleic, monomeric, enolinic, dienic, enolinic, trienoic, arachidonic, tetraenoic. So like this one, several types are there. Now the next one, oleic acid is most common. So the most common type of acid that is called oleic acid. So fatty acid with more than one double bond is called the fatty acid having more than one double bond. That is called PUFA or polyunsaturated fatty acid. The polyunsaturated fatty acids having more than one double bonds. Now types of lipids. Okay, so fatty acids or the lipids. Lipids are generally divided into three categories by the blue 1943. Okay, that's for the age. Now about the lipids, some general points you have to learn. Simple lipids made up of fatty acids and alcohol. It is simple lipid that's made up of fatty acids and alcohol. Now example true fats, waxes, cutin, sugarin are the examples of the simple lipids. Now triglycerides are the neutral or the true fats. So these contains for your need sessions only. So if you want, you can learn. So for the theory exam, you have to learn what is a simple lipid, what is its composition. Example, that's enough. Up to here, it's enough for the board exam. Now the next one for your NEET exam. Triglycerides or the neutral or true fats will be there. So esters of three fatty acids and one molecule of esters of three fatty acids and one molecule of trihydric alcohol glycerol. That is about the triglycerides. Okay. So anyway, that we can discuss later. Now, oils are liquids at the room temperature and having either saturated or unsaturated fatty acids will be there. Okay, so oils with PUFA, that is polyunsaturated fatty acids, that is called polyunsaturates. So only oils with the PFA, that is called polyunsaturates. Okay, so can be converted to saturates by the dehydrogenation. By removing the hydrogen, they can able to convert it to unsaturated compounds to saturated, isn't it? By breaking the bonds. It improves the taste and color of the oils. So this compound, that is this triglyceride, that helps to increase the taste and color of the oils. It destroys the EFA. Now unsaturated fatty acids have a tendency to combine with the oxygen, so-called drying oils. So these unsaturated fatty acids have a tendency to combine with the oxygen, that is called drying oils. Now hard fats are solid at the room temperature. Butyric acid is there. That is the shortest fatty acid that present butter with the caprylic C8 acid, caprylic acid and capric acid, that is C10 acid. So this contains again for a NEET only, for a board exam it's not important. Just learn the basic things for the board exam. Now coming to the second one, that's about the waxes. In the waxes, that is inert esters of long chain fatty acids are there with a long chain monohydric higher alcohol like zeryl, cetyl, methyl alcohol, isn't it? So example, beeswax, sebum, spermaceti from sperm whale, lanolin, wool fat, plant waxes. Contains for the need. And you have to learn after the symbol, there is an example, at least the heading. Learn the headings only for your board exam. Now, cutin is a complex lipid produced by the cross esterification and polymerization of hydroxy fatty acids. Okay. So now cutin, that is complex lipid produced by the cross esterification and the polymerization of the hydroxy fatty acids with or without esterification. So sometimes esterification will be there at the addition of the ester, or without esterification will be there by the alcohols and also by the glycerol. So again, I'm repeating, it's not prepared for your board exam. First of all, cover the board contents. Your first target to cover the board contents. Then, if it is completed and if you are comfortable with that one, then go for the need level. Now, question on the outer epidermal cells. And cuticle has around 50-90% cutin is there. So cutin reduces the rate of transpiration, also binds the epidermal cells. Now coming to the second one, that is about the suberin. Suberin is a mixture of fatty material having condensation products of glycerol and phenolic acid or its derivatives. That's about the suberin. Now suberin makes cell wall strong and impermeable. So suberin that makes a cell wall a little bit strong and impermeable. Occurs in the walls of Koch cells and endodermal cells. So suberin, lignin suberin, that is actually from the chapter 6. If time is there, then we can discuss that chapter. Okay, after completing everything. So that is a deposition, cell wall deposit, that is a suberin. So the next type of lipid that is called conjugated lipids.